All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to The Den with Coach Seth Parr. We are certainly glad you are here. We are live from Nanda's Tex-Mex right here in Anna. This show's brought to you by Great Coyotes, sponsors like Country Charm Coffee, Anna Dental, Pin Oaks Christian Fellowship, and our football network is brought to you by City Park Development. I am Phil Morgan, and this guy over here on the far side.
Oh, I'm Blake Grundy.
Hey.
But the main guest, the main attraction is the man in the middle.
The main man.
The head coach, the athletic director, Coach Seth Parr.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Hey, listen, I have last week's version of the show pulled up, so let's get this week's. So we were talking to a lot of fans, and it seems that there was a general consensus that a couple of things just maybe felt off about the Denison game, whether it was feeling like rushed coming out of the locker room, a change in time, different venue, whatever it was. Kind of, what was your take on the game against Denison from this past Friday night?
Oh, we got to just, number one, we got to mature. Our maturity level has to be better. We talked about awareness, and we talked about a team that you're going in and everybody thinks you're going to win is be on alert. You know, we saw all the district after the game. Not everybody was aware, and we had a big incident out the field. So we were talking about awareness, be aware of your surroundings. Well, then we were out on the practice field, and Coach Rod, he's the ultimate panic guy. Like, he can't, like, he just sits there and just, like, he calls me on the phone and says, Coach. And, of course, it can't just be like a phone call. It's got to be a FaceTime phone call. He goes, look at this. And the rabbit was just torn to pieces.
Right.
And we have a pet hawk at the indoor, and he lives in there. And thankful for who got him out, guys? Who? Kian. Yeah. Thank for Kian and his Kian. Bird noises. He lured the hawk out.
Kian the Hawk Man.
We need a sticker for him. Yeah, he did get it out because we were scared the hawk was going to get hungry at one time. And so, and you can't touch the hawk, you know, so you gotta get him out. But anyway, that hawk had gotten the rabbit and spread him out, and Coach couldn't figure out what to do, so I had to go get a blower and blow that rabbit's foot. I'm sorry, guys. Rabbit's foot was not too lucky that day, so we had to clean him off. But the whole deal was, I got him in there and I said, listen, there once was a rabbit that was not aware, and he had a hawk that came to his despair. And then we showed the hawk. There is YouTube cut-ups of hawks attacking rabbits.
Okay.
And I said, don't be the rabbit. You know, and that's kind of the way we were with Denison. There was a lot of drama going into that game.
Sure.
And a lot of built-up tension. And sometimes, you know, you got to be able to handle that. I told the coaches, I said, hey, you know, I think after coming off that game, we're going to be a little bit more aggressive. We work this trick play all the time. It's called Tell the Despro. And Tell the Despro has like 3 or 4 options off of one play. And so I said, our third play, we're going to run it. Because, you know, sometimes our kids don't think you're going to run it. But you've seen our tackle over play where we come out of the huddle and we scored on that 2 or 3 times. We got like 3 or 4 options off that play as well. And we work it from fall camp all the way on. Same way with Tell the Despro. And we've scored on Tell the Despro probably 3 or 4 times. Coach Guerrero threw a touchdown on Tell the Despro back in 2009 at Borger Stadium, Borger Bulldog Stadium.
We see you, Coach G.
Yeah, threw a touchdown. Coach Rod didn't, of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just strays on strays.
Woo, some shade right there.
Yeah.
Coach Rod's ready for his segment already, I can tell.
No, not yet, Coach. Sit down.
Coach Rod had a 100-yard rushing night, which Coach G never did. So he had one shining moment. So we Tell Despro. I said, hey, we're going to do this. And then I looked at Coach Rigg. I said, is he going to backfire on us? Or I thought we needed to light a fire under us and be aggressive. And I said, is he going to light a fire under us or going to cause us a problem? And it caused us a problem. I said, well, daggone. You know, so that went on. I thought the lighting is terrible at the stadium. It's always good to have a good stadium. All right, and you're gonna have to know this because it's gonna get bigger. Now I don't want a huge stadium. I don't want anything like that, but I want a stadium that has all the bells and whistles so we can get the everybody involved. The CTE. A lot of people don't understand that Coyote Vision needs a classroom.
Yeah, they do.
Right, so the classroom goes into the stadium so they can work all the concession stands, culinary arts.
Culinary arts.
All right, so you can get all that. But anyway,
I
that's
heard,
a whole other segment that we can talk about that.
Well,
later.
I'll say I heard Baylor Scott and White was going to come in and help with a nursing medical program for
Well, you got your
students.
trainers, but more importantly, you got graduation. People
There you
might
go.
start thinking about graduation, and it's a, amphitheater. You don't need to call it a football stadium. Call it an amphitheater. I
Coach,
guess.
you lost me at culinary arts. I'm thinking about nachos, what the nachos are going to look like with a culinary arts program back there.
Well,
that Coyote nacho is going to elevate.
Yeah. Well,
We're taking it to the next level.
We're going to put Scott Root in charge of the culinary arts program.
We'll be good then.
Get that deal going.
We'll be good.
Yeah,
Well-
get the good popcorn.
well-
So I thought we were going to have to be aware. I don't think we handled ourselves very well, but we didn't have very many series in the first half. Everybody's panicking. That's the maturity level. We got around 10 to 15 guys that we need to have a serious grow up. A lot of people say, like when I got 2 daughters, so they talk about glow up.
Okay.
You have your glow up moment. All right. So there you go. That's a man. Learning girls, all right there. So when you have daughters, you learn about a glow up. We need to have a grow up period, all right? So we don't need to be worrying about what we wear. I have more, hey, Coach, are we going to wear white and black? No, we're not. We're going to wear purple. And then, crying about an accessory that we have. I didn't buy for purple pants. I said, well, where the last time we were in purple pants? Wear that, So we got to get off of, I don't know how many different ways you can wear a cleat, but they found it. It's not that hard to figure out, but we're turning into that instead of focusing on the play. I had a smart man that came and talked to me about a guy named Samson, right? And he had his hair.
As you're surrounded by 2 bald guys, this is a great story.
His hair was his strength.
Okay.
But when he didn't focus
cannot
on the
relate.
prize, when he focused on the prize was God gave him that strength, right? And he focused all that with that, and it gave him strength. But when he started focusing on other things, and other people got in, and he started worrying about all these other things that were surrounding him and let other people in, his hair got cut off. And a lot of people think that was his weakness. Like when he got his heart, he was not strong again. But really his weakness was that he let the other people in and he didn't honor and he didn't go through the process that made you really good. Because his hair grew back. Am I right?
It did.
His hair grew back and his strength came back.
Yep.
When he focused back on what was the prize. And so we got to remember what the prize is, and it's to win games, to focus on the things that we need to focus on, and not what we wear, not how we act, not the pictures on the sideline, not all that. That's not why we play. We play to win, and we got to get that point across.
You play to win the game. Hey, I've got a smattering of fan questions for you. So you want to roll through a couple of fan questions real quick?
Let's do it.
All right. The first one is you could probably guess who this one came from, but I'm not even going to say it. After last week, can Edward Chumley play quarterback? Is he still the backup option for quarterback after last week?
If you're asking, is Edward ever going to throw a ball again? Yes, he will. We got another play called Grenade that it calls for him to throw a football. Now, the story on that Teledespero, usually that's Zai throwing the ball. And I thought they were going to come in, and I thought they would try to – there were some plays going in there. I wasn't real comfortable with Zai being in there because I didn't think not everybody likes Zai all the time. Everybody respects Edward, but I didn't know if he would not take a shot right there late. And so I moved Chumley to that spot where he hadn't played all year. He usually plays the position that he's rolling out. He's faking the reverse. So I switched him, put Zai there. The other option was wide open. If he'd have thrown it back. But he's never done that. So it's my fault for putting him there. I thought Ace would be open. Or if it's not open, the other option is just to run it, which he's pretty good at. But he told me, I'm throwing it. And then Zai told me, he's like, hey, that interception's on my record on Max Preps. Says Edwards interception's on me. Can we get that taken off? And I said, sure. So
Of course, I knew that went to him right away.
Will he ever line up in that spot again? No, he won't. Will he ever throw a football? Maybe.
All right. So I got to give Blake Williams is in the house. Blake, if you'll raise your hand and wave.
How you doing, Blake?
So Blake Williams is in the house. This is his Halloween outfit. I want you to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best.
That's 10. That's pretty
That's a
good.
10.
Maybe try to flash the camera
For
with
those
that.
of you who can't see,
Yeah, you can kind of see
You
that.
guys send that to me.
He's got a Coach Parr get up. He's doing his Coach Parr look-alike. So Blake Williams going as Coach Parr, getting a 10 out of 10 rating from Coach
I wish
himself.
my stomach was as flat as his.
Don't we all, Coach?
Well, here's
Don't we
the
all?
rub to that. His brother is dressing up like a ref, so they can argue with each
that's
other the whole
right.
game.
Does he need black and whites? I got black and whites he can borrow.
I will tell them Pin Oak starts at 10:45
There you go.
on Sunday. That's all you tell the referees.
And you keep up those Bible stories during our coaches show. You're preaching this week.
No, I will not.
All right. Hey, so kind of our last fan question I have so far for you is you have some pretty successful coaches in your family, right? Your dad was a pretty successful coach. Your brother's a pretty successful coach. How often do you guys talk and talk shop, talk football together? How often do you get advice on plays or strategies, things like that from them?
It's kind of funny because me and my brother probably fought every day the sun came up. As far as we were 4 years apart, 3 years apart. And it was when the sun came up, it was competitive. And he would watch my game film, and we played the wing tee offense and never throw it. And he would watch it and get on to me about my fakes. And now I'm on Zai about his fakes. But I mean, this guy was like a high school and watching my 8th grade film telling me, here's how you carry out your fakes, and we'd watch it on VCR. But I would tell you, I talked to my dad every day. We talk around 4:45 in the morning.
Okay.
And then probably talk to my brother every day, probably around 5:10.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we have a lot of advice. That's why I say, a lot of people think that if your kids fight, it's okay. It's okay. That's just nobody else is going to say anything about him, or nobody else is going to say anything about me. But we talk every day. Very good brother. Very good father. I better mention my mother. My mother never says she gets in there. And she got a little trick. She'll answer the phone. So when I'm my dad, if I call my dad, she'll answer my phone and say, hello. I can do her now. I couldn't do her a voice right then. And she goes, you looking for your dad? And I say, yes. He goes, he's not here. So that's when we'll start our conversation. Moms will take care of it on that phone and make sure you talk to your mother too. So, that's a good thing about having girls. I always get talked to, Boys, it's not as, you lose the Christmases and all that stuff, because I thought better going down a different road here. But I thought when I got married, Christmas time came and I knew where we were going. I said, all right, here's the plan. Here's what we're doing. Hand out the agenda. Ann had another agenda. Didn't include mine. So I found out that, my agenda doesn't matter on Christmas or holidays. So learn that early.
Well, let's shift gears. Let's look ahead a little bit. And one of the things about this coming weekend is senior night. Talk to us a little bit about some of the guys, some of the seniors on your team, and kind of what this night means for them.
I'm not a very sentimental guy until after probably it's over, because I just think of it as a game. But during the year, you know, I go through there and I'll see like Edward running. I'm like, man, I'm gonna miss him when he's gone. And then I'll see Dylan and I'll say, dang, you only got like 5 more games or, you know, 3 more games with him. So you go through the whole group. You spend so much time with them, but I never feel like it's a goodbye because I always feel like they're always welcome to come back. And I think that's a different deal from our guys is they always want to come back. They're welcome on the sideline. They're welcome to do anything. But, you know, I'm more proud that they grew up and they're getting to go do something else. And sometimes 4 years is enough time, and we let them go, but they're always welcome back. And I don't ever put a final deal on it. I don't ever want to say this is the last time, you know, because I don't know when the last time is. But I know it's not the last time. We have lifelong relationships, not just relationships that are in high school. So I want to see them move on. And even you know, no matter where I'm at, you know, I still talk to all my players. And that's just because, one, I love them, because you spend so much time. That's what you do. You love them, and then it's never final. It's just the final football game, and I can live with the final football game. What I can't live is a final, you know, never talking to you again. So you know, that's different. It's senior night, but I see how much time the parents. I've gone through the senior night, guys. You'll live, I promise you. And by May, you'll be glad. And then you'll be sad again in August. And then you'll be glad again the sophomore year when they go. And then you'll be glad when they come back. It's a deal. But what you're glad about, what you're happy about, is that you did your job. So if they go out and they go and do their thing as what we did our job. They're supposed to leave. You know, they're supposed to leave the house. They're not all supposed to stay there for the whole time. So, you know, we got to get them ready when they leave to succeed, and that's kind of our biggest goal right there. And when they do that, man, there's always going to be another running back. There's always going to be another quarterback. There's always going to be another left tackle. But there'll never be that personality that you coached ever again. So, you know, and then the ones that you struggle with the most sometimes, they're the ones that come back and always want to be around. I said, man, you never wanted to be around here when we practice. Now you always want to be here. So it's good, and that's the difference in us. And I think a lot of programs is, you know, I think we spend all this time that hopefully they feel the same way. But I hope they know we do care about them. We do love them. We do support them. We want to see do great things. This part of football is not final. This is just what taught you how to be successful and how to be a teammate, how to learn how to win, and how to learn a process to make yourself successful.
Well, to your credit and your coaching staff, you've had a lot of kids come back this year to stand on the sidelines, to watch games, to see you.
That's
and
great.
It's fun to watch as a fan from the sidelines.
It's always fun. I saw Grant, and I could see that hair. Right away. Then Colton texted me, can I come down? You know, you don't have to ask. And then just seeing Willie Boyd, Sean Steen, still never said hello, just smiled. Never said a couple things. We call him because everything guys is everything was But I think he knows that we got. I've seen CJ. We seen Kobe Miller calls me quite a bit, so Kobe Miller's having a good time at Kilgore. So it's just fun to see them doing their thing and growing up and being a man.
There you go. Well, hey, so just as a note for everybody, 6:30 Coyote Walk, 6:50 is what Ann told me starts senior night announcements, festivities. So make sure you guys are there in time to partake in that and support our seniors as they walk.
This is the real graduation for me.
There you go.
My wife always, are we going to graduation? No. Can't say, is there any principals here? I said I already did my graduation in November, you know, so
Where's
I like how you look
That's
for
why-
principals in the house while we're streaming live.
I'm looking for
permanently live on
I'm looking
the
for
internet.
I'm looking for a delayed mute button, and I can't find one.
Well, unfortunately, I think some of our football players think they graduate after the football season as well. So we got to keep that going.
Listen,
You know,
I may have had a
bunch of-
conversation with a couple of them at a golf tournament last year.
Yeah, we had to have some kick in the tails and finish and get to that finish line.
Well, hey, so Friday's not just senior night, but we still have another big district game. We have Frisco Memorial coming to town. And while we have a playoff spot currently secured, like it's within our control, right? It's still really a must-win game. So kind of what is your plan as you guys are approaching the game this week?
Our plan is play fast, and we got to get where we are hitting and tackling and getting everybody to the ball. There's tons of things that we got to keep on improving on. And if we get to that level, we have a chance, So, that's just you keep on doing it. Senior night is going to be a little bit different as far as everybody else is going to be doing their senior night. Then we'll come over. The football families, because everybody will walk their family out.
Mm-hmm.
And we will set y'all up already numerical order, and we will run out the tunnel with the flower to you guys. So we'll do it like it's a one last final run through for
That's
them.
awesome.
So it's something that they do in the tunnel that we picked up with. So instead of having, it's kind of awkward sometimes, that long walk, and you're like 15 yards of it, everybody's staring at you. So we'll get that done. But we're excited. We're excited for the parents. I know this is a big deal. I know it's a big deal for the parents. But, it's a big deal because it's a football game as well. So, we're going to treasure every opportunity we can to have at this stadium.
Well, Coach Guerrero's about to come up in the next segment. Anything you want to say about Coach Guerrero before we take a little break and
Coach Guerrero
have him up?
Yeah, he's like my
Trying to get Coach Barr in trouble.
No, Coach Guerrero is somebody that he's like what do you call him, a spirit child. He's one that talks to Coach Parr's language.
Okay.
All right, I have two individuals in my life that are they do not want to speak my language, and the one is named Coach Ramos, and the other one is Victor Rodriguez. All right. So
Never
when
would've guessed
I'm
that Coach
trying to
Robert was part of
explain
that.
something, I have to look at Michael and say, because I'll say it 3 or 4 times, they don't want to hear what I have to say. They try to debacle it and then say all this. Well, don't you want this? I said, I didn't say I wanted that. I could have clearly said I wanted this. But they try to get you because they're sitting there saying, don't you want this? That's what they want. All right? They're very slick humans.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll have to say, hey, Coach G, can you tell them what I'm saying? And he'll sit there and he'll say, hey, they're saying this. So Coach G's been really, you have your favorite child sometimes. And he's one that calms me down and does that. Now, he can fire me up. He can fire me up because the boy can't wake up. He does struggles waking up. Struggles.
It's a real deal.
It's a real life deal. I picked him up when he was little, and I thought we were past that, but we're not. So you have to have him on speed dial. Has the worst allergies I've ever been around, him and my wife.
We're getting the whole
Worst
thing,
allergies,
man.
yeah. Great mom, great family. Terrible hay fever, all right, but
I'm rewriting our questions for Coach G right now.
So
I'm
I'll
just
leave
gonna-
all that, but he's a great guy, and he was a magic man. He was both of them were great football players, and did a great job. Great leader.
There you go. Like, I don't know that that's exactly what you thought you were going to get.
No.
Phil.
I told you they never graduate.
It never is.
They never graduate. They're always here.
It's never exactly what I think I'm going to get.
Well, hey, Coach Barr, thank you for taking a couple minutes to join us tonight, and we'll get ready to bring Coach G up next.
All right.
All right. Well, we are back. We're live with one of our assistant football coaches, Coach Mike Guerrero. You guys welcome Coach G up on the show.
Appreciate you guys for having me.
So we're gonna call an audible on the questions we sent you, and we're gonna start with this. Coach Parr's spirit child. How does it feel to be labeled as that?
It could be good or bad. I'd say good just because I always just try to solve the problems, make it go easy. That way nobody gets yelled at too hard, or you don't get the Coach Parr that we know from Cap Rock.
From Cap Rock, there you go. Well, hey, so then I guess I have a follow-up question. You know, apparently Coach Rod does not speak his language. So how much back and forth is there between those two on a weekly basis that you kind of have to mediate?
I mean, Coach Rod is just he's not a yes man, so he's not going to listen all the time. He's going to try to make sure, you know, it's done right. And he likes to get Coach Parr going. They like to get each other going sometimes too. So it's kind of a little thing, a hitting game back and forth.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Hey, so one of your responsibilities on our team is you're responsible for coaching the safeties, the DBs, right?
Yes, sir.
One of the popular phrases from the stands, turn and look for the ball. All right. So is this a coached practice, or is there a better way of doing things? Kind of shed some light on this, on that popular phrase that I'm sure you get tired of hearing as a coach.
I mean, yeah, turn and look for the ball is a great thing when the ball's in the air. But it's kind of a timing thing that you got to have, and you got to be good at it. You know, early on in the season, we played a lot of man coverage, and so for us as DBs, we're watching the receiver. We're trying to have good eye discipline, right, match and mirror the receiver. And so we don't want to be caught looking at the quarterback at the wrong time and lose our receiver, because ultimately that's who the quarterback's throwing the ball to. So we want to do a great job playing there. And, you know, early on in the season, we kind of struggled with it a little bit, and you kind of seen our guys do a little bit better job later on in the season. You know, a couple of them had a couple picks. George, I think, had one in man coverage against Frisco. He was inside leverage, turned and looked for the ball.
Walnut Grove.
It was Walnut Grove, you're right, and he was right there. So it's one of those things that we're getting better at. We have a lot of guys kind of crossing over, so it's just them getting the confidence in themselves and knowing when to look and trusting themselves.
Are there body language tells that you coach them to look for when you know, kind of playing man coverage?
Oh, yeah, the receiver will tell you when the ball is coming. You know, he's getting his hands ready, or he's sinking his hips, going back to the ball. His eyes are getting a little bit bitter. So we're always trying to play through the receiver, and that's why you don't see as many picks in man coverage, is because we're trying to play through the hands. We're trying to see his hands go up.
There you
and
go.
You see a lot of PBUs that way too. So
I love it. Hey, off the wall question from James Shumley, so you know it's going to be special. He's giving me some good ones tonight, though. Who is the better player, you or Coach Rod, and why?
I mean,
and remember, Coach Rod comes up here in a couple of segments.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna be a little selfish here, and I'm gonna say myself.
There you go.
Just I don't know. I just was good. I was very accurate, I guess. Can anticipate some things coming open, and just threw for a lot. I threw for a lot of yards. Coach Rod threw for a lot of touchdowns. So it kind of goes back and forth.
Okay. All right. So, tell us a little bit about not your role on those teams, but the role on this team, because you have a couple different things that you do, and not just the safeties, not just DBs, but you got some equipment responsibilities too. Tell us a little bit about the day-to-day operations, the things that you're kind of doing every day.
You know, early on we pass out all the equipment, and you know, that's when a lot of the work is done beforehand, getting, you know, equipment out, making sure guys got all their clothes on their loop. They got shirts, shorts, girdle, all that good stuff, and helmets, shoulder pads. And now day-to-day basis is just trying to maintain that process. We go through a, you know, kind of a laundry 101 where we have a tutorial session on how to put the clothes on the loop. And so we literally got to step by step it, you know, bird dogging for these guys so they know how to do it. And because I guess, you know, it can be difficult if you don't know what you're doing. And so when we do that, early on, and now it's just trying to maintain it. We're doing laundry. We run a 24/7 laundry service for these kids. We're washing, you know, their practice gear, game jerseys, towels, anything they kind of put on the loop. It's a constant cycle. and that's with the help of a lot of other coaches as well.
Well, I mean, I got to know. We got some creative guys, some eccentric guys, some loud guys, and how they like to dress. Do you ever get any like crazy equipment requests or anything that you have to look at and be like, what are you thinking? You don't have to name names, but
I wouldn't say any crazy like equipment requests. Just one time these guys were, they understand we do a lot of laundry, and so after practice or after a workout, there was a couple of guys who started requesting for us to always have hot towels for these guys as soon as they get out. They always just wanted a hot towel. And, sometimes we're good enough to maybe get it to them, but, we're not a hotel service. But they wanted hot towels, so
wow.
I don't know.
Wow. so here's Coach Parr's shouting from the back, let their mama do it, right?
Yeah, right on.
So what about you? When you played, right? Did you have any crazy requests of coaching staff? Don't lie.
No, I ain't gonna lie.
Because Rod's coming up in a minute.
I mean,
we'll ask him.
We had to wear,
because I know he
certain
knows
pair
stories.
of socks, certain, it was all the way to the T. Like now, it's a little bit different nowadays. We kind of give these guys a little bit more freedom, I guess, to be themselves. But that's what we're trying to instill back at these guys is to, you really don't need all that. None of that stuff really matters. It's about us doing our job
right,
and doing it right and getting the W at the end.
All those things are good and fun, but if you're not getting the job done, it doesn't matter what you're wearing, right?
Right
there
on,
you go.
right on.
Hey, I got to know before we let you go, what's a parism, a Coach Parism that you hear a lot among the coaching staff? It's maybe a saying that he has or something he does is you guys kind of look at each other and like, oh, that's a Coach Parr moment right there. Am I getting you in trouble?
Nah, I just can't think of any off
Okay.
top of my head. I just know, the kids do it a lot, and, they'll say all right all the time just because he says that a lot. And I catch myself doing that, too, in class. So that's one of the ones that the kids always catch, just saying, all right, here's what we're about. And so they like doing that.
Got to repeat it. There you go.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Well, hey, Coach G, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes to join us.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, we are back. We are going to be joined here by Coach Rodriguez. We are glad that you're here, sir. Let's welcome up for Coach Rod. Look, as we get started, there's a lot of stuff being said in these earlier segments. I don't know if you feel like you need to. Do you need to say something?
Weeks in a row.
Do you need to get something off your chest?
No, I just need y'all to be praying for me, okay?
Well, we can do that. Yeah, we got you on that.
Make sure y'all just prayer requests and just keep me in y'all's thoughts and prayers.
I think some coaches meetings are going to get a little more difficult. You're going to have some disagreements with the way things are done this week, right? You'll make things a little harder.
No, never. That's never me.
It's never you, right? Okay, good. Way to set that straight. Look, let's jump in. Our boy Dez.
Well, no, hang on. We got to let him respond to Coach G.
Oh,
who's the better player, you or Coach G?
I'm going to say this.
And then we'll get to Dez.
He played on better teams than I did. He was very fortunate to play on some really good teams. Now, me, I didn't have that. And he was able to have Coach Parr for all his years. Didn't have that. So you got to put those things in the equation, and then, you know,
Then we can measure.
then we can measure.
Oh,
Okay.
So it's not apples to apples, is what you're
Nope,
trying to
it's
say.
not. It's not. I'll just leave it at that.
You're gonna-
So.
okay.
So
all right.
Coach Rod is to Coach G as Michael Jordan is to LeBron.
Oh, here
Got
we go.
it. Let's talk about Dez now.
Here we go.
Yeah,
let's
let's
talk
talk
about
about
Dez.
Dez.
Let's talk about Dez
about
really
Dez.
fast before this gets completely out of control. So look, we talk about Dez every now and then, and you know there was a rough week, but he's gotten back on track. Our boy is back in the right spot.
Yeah.
He's on the perfect side of the stat sheet this week. So talk about this tandem that's around him. You got Kian, you got Rowan, you got Dez, and you got some other guys. I know that you'd like to kind of talk about for a little bit. So
Yeah, our extra point field goal team is a well-oiled machine right now. Kean's been doing a good job of getting those snaps back there. Rowan too, man. I mean, he's doing everything good fundamentally. And Dez, I mean, was spot on last week. And, you know, that's just a testament to what they've done all summer. I mean, we've been working specialists, you know, from the summer. And they've been putting 15, 20 minutes, you know, every day, and as you can see, it's coming to fruition. So in the past, again, we've, you know, struggled on that side of on that phase of the special teams unit, and, you know, things could go really bad. So it's grateful that everybody is doing their job and is doing really good. And then you also got to give the front line a shout out, which is all our offensive linemen. So, you know, we can't get that ball kicked if they don't do their job, if they don't step down. And for some reason, stepping down or stepping out is one of the most difficult jobs you could do, because, I mean, we've tore the roster, you know, and try to find the best guy we could possibly have at that spot. And, you know, luckily, number one is able to do that, and we've been really good because of that. So
I'm unfamiliar with number one's game.
yeah,
Haven't seen him do much this year.
What are we calling him this week? Is it still Chum
it's
Bucket?
still Chum Bucket.
It's always Chum
gonna
Bucket.
be
All right,
Chum Bucket.
I got
yeah.
you. I got you. Well, that's cool. It's fun to watch some of these kids step into roles when they're called upon.
Yeah.
You know, and really be that next man up. We've had a couple injuries, and it's been essential. And this
Right.
team has really kind of coalesced and found a couple guys to come in and do that job.
Right. Yep.
Well, I want to talk about Dez in another role that he has as well, right?
Yeah.
His kickoffs are an absolute weapon for us.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of want to get you to talk
Yep.
about that. So we asked him. I don't know if you saw the pregame interviews from last week. We kind of asked him, hey, Dez, what allows you to either boot it out the back of the end zone if you need to, or to literally land it anywhere from the 2 to the 5 yard line, almost on cue?
Right.
And he goes, I don't know. Coach Parr just tells me to kick the ball, so that's all I do. I just go kick the ball. Kind of talk to me about that. Give us a little bit more nuance to that, and talk about his weapon on the kickoff.
Yeah, so being able to use Dez's strong leg has been very valuable to our team.
For sure.
Being able to get the ball out the back of the end zone is a luxury to have. I mean, there's not a lot of kickers that could do that. And like Coach Parr mentioned on one of the talk shows a few weeks ago, is, man, we had one year where we struggled bad. And, I mean, we were losing the field position battle. I mean, we're giving opposing teams' offense the ball at the 40, 45-yard line.
Right.
I mean, it was bad, and, I mean, we can't screw those guys up like that, right? So being able to have Dez and just being able to boot it out the back of the end zone is good, and having the coverage guys with it has been awesome. So still keeping up with the stats, and our opposing team's field position on kickoff has been the 22-yard line, which is still good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
for sure.
you know, tell those guys all the time, hey, nothing past the 25-yard line. 25 and in, that's our goal, and they've been doing a good job of being consistent on that unit.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
is there any plans in kind of moving forward to try and see if you can get some kicks landed around the 6 or 7 yard line and try and get them pinned even deeper?
Yeah, that's always a discussion. The past couple of weeks, we just felt like, hey, it's just best to just kind of just get less, for our guys to take less hits.
Okay.
You know, like we mentioned it before, a lot of our starters on special teams are also starters on offense and defense, and then they're also starters on both, right? Or been playing both. So we felt like, hey, let's just get it out the back of the end zone, less hits on our guys, and make sure that they're good and they're fresh to play their offensive or defensive position.
Well, another area that you kind of put your eyes on, right, and provide some leadership to is that wide receiver room. And, man, we're getting guys healthy,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Some guys are starting to come back, and that affords us this opportunity to have a really deep room. I think a lot of times it leaves people though asking, how in the world can you play all these guys?
No, yeah, man. I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, you got Ronald, you got Michael Kennedy, you got Ace, you got Rowan, you got Eric, you got Gentry. Ashton. I mean, that's 7 guys. I wish we could play with 7 receivers on the field at one time. But
7 out?
Yeah.
We get 7 wide?
Yeah.
Occasionally George comes onto the field.
Yeah.
Split Edward out wide sometimes.
Yeah, I wish we could, have a formation where all 7 of those guys are on the
no
field.
procedure penalties for that. That'd be fine.
We can. So that's a challenge. I mean, all those guys are great receivers, and they all bring something, different to the table. And it's a challenge being able to get them all on the field, but it all goes into, hey, what is the game plan going to be like? What is the defense gives us?
Yeah.
Who are we going? Who do we think is going to give us the best possible chance to be successful? And that's where we base our decisions on. And we do also create packages to get so and so here and someone at a certain spot, so we have that as well, just to kind of help out with that. But yeah, man, I wish we could play with 7 wideouts.
Well, and
at one time.
You're right, and I also think that there's another side to this that we have to talk about a little bit, and that's that idea of a quarterback and a receiver kind of having a rhythm, kind of getting used to each other, kind of knowing each other. With 7 guys that you've got to try to work through, practice time's got to be tough too.
Yeah. So the good thing about our offense, running the air raid, a lot of the drills we do correlate to us throwing the ball, right? So we go pan go, we have a quick game segment, we got our routes on there, our mesh period, right? And it's devoted to, hey, making sure that Zai and all the receivers have that timing that they need. And we get all, we make sure Zai gets the reps with the guys that he needs to get, his reps with. So, That's not really an issue because of just how our offense and our system and the drills we run correlate with one another. So
okay,
and it's good when we have an injury bug like we did to, have those guys come in and step in.
Yeah, you almost don't miss a beat. That's really good. So this week, I think we're all curious as when the showdown's going to happen between you and Coach G. When do we show up to watch? I'd like to see that. I don't know about you guys. I'd like to see a little competition between them.
Post-game 40-yard dash
I would say
competition?
I got him on the 40-yard dash. I do got him on the 40-yard dash.
He's just laughing, so I'm guessing
Coach
that might
G,
be
is that true?
He's laughing. He's not going to give it up. He's not going to give it up.
But a little
now, Coach G is a great mile runner. I'll give him that. So there's been times where, hey, we ran a mile together, and he's up there.
He can get it.
Yeah, he could get it. So
all right.
James wants to know if we have any plans to bring in any linemen as eligible receivers and utilize them in the passing game.
It's getting silly. You do not have to answer that.
No, we don't.
You do not have to answer that.
Don't. So I know Miller's could be a heck of a receiver, but no, as of right now, no, we don't have anything like that.
How many touchdowns during Coach Rigg's segment should I predict we're going to score? 72 or more? 72 touchdowns.
No comment.
No, that's 72 touchdowns, which is 400 points.
You are trying to make people hate this show. Hey, guys, that was
views.
Coach Rod on the show tonight. Let's give him a hand.
All right, well, we're back. We're joined by our offensive coordinator, Coach Rigg. Coach Rigg, how you doing tonight?
Good. Good to be here.
Well, hey, yes, let's give him a little love. I love it. Hey, listen, We had a down game from expectations,
Yeah.
right? Down game for even just from our averages where we've been. I think that's fair to say. I don't know if anybody can get mad at me
Yeah.
for saying that.
Oh, yeah.
But we had a little bit down game from expectations. What have you seen on tape regarding that? Anything that popped out to you?
I mean, during the game, kind of know, whenever we get the ball to the 1 yard line and you go for it on fourth down, if you don't get it, it's going to be a disappointing game is, kind of how that works. But, scored touchdowns on 4 out of 8 possessions, I think. We had the stop on the 1 yard line. We didn't score, and then threw the interception on the trick play. And, a couple things that you try to be aggressive, try to go for it. Could have taken some points here and there, but, I mean, it's not really who we are. So, sometimes that's going to bite you in the butt, but other times, you're going to look like a genius when it works. So,
Well, I mean, that's crazy to think we only had 8 possessions in that game. That
Yeah.
kind of reflects how the time of possession and the game
Yeah.
plan Dennison came in
Yeah.
with, right? Was really to keep the ball out of Zai and Chum's hands.
Yep.
What did you guys get a time of possession number?
No, we didn't. It was,
Okay.
I mean, they were really going for ball control, and they did a good job on it. Really ran the clock. They ran the play clock down to 1 or 2 seconds. Snapped the ball a lot of times. So I mean, it's effective. There's a lot of teams that do that, and it works.
Yeah, I mean, credit to them. They came in with a good game plan to kind of try and keep the ball out of y'all's hands. I guess I also want to hear a little bit about. We know the Chumley interception was a trick play, and he probably needed to throw it up and a little bit deeper to let Ace try and go make a play. And then his fumble, dude just put a hat right on the ball. That one's a tough one.
Oh, yeah.
But what about the Zai interception? What happened there? What did you guys see on that play?
So the Zion interception, it was a weird one where he threw it just probably really in the grand scheme of things about a foot inside. He should have put it on the outside shoulder. He puts it on the inside shoulder, and when you miss by just a foot here and there, sometimes that gives them a chance to make a play. If he's 1 foot over to the right on his right shoulder, it's a catch and probably a pretty big play. It's probably a catch and run. But that's the quarterback position. It's something that your margins are so small that if something does, you miss once and miss a foot inside, turns into an interception, you're a terrible quarterback. But if you're a foot to the right, you're this genius, awesome quarterback with the 20-yard game. But he does a good job with that. He understands that's what the position takes, what the scrutiny is going to be with it, and he does a good job of moving on to the next play from that. I mean, he doesn't let it, simmer in his mind or anything. The next day he's going to be PO'd about it, but he's going to move on to it pretty quickly.
Well, that's kind of my follow-up question, right? That game didn't meet a lot of their expectations. There was a lot of frustration after that game. So as grown men, we can sit here and say, "Oh, you got to flush that." You can live in it for a second, but you got to flush it. You got to move on. You got to look. You learn from it and grow on. But how do you coach that though?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes kids have it, sometimes they don't, and then if they don't have it, you just gotta. It's a constant refresher, constant telling them, "Hey, let's move on. Hey, let's move on." Talk about Memorial. It's just getting on to the next thing. I mean, it's a 24-hour rule. Whether you win or lose, you can't sit around and think about things. That's,
I like that.
Why teams after 24 hours, if you're still thinking about it, not thinking about the next game for good or bad. I mean, you're not moving on to the next opponent. And if you do that in football, I mean, you got 6-7 days to prepare. If you're lucky, on those weeks, you really got to move on, because if you don't, I mean, the next team can jump up and bite you. Everyone, I mean, you're playing Texas high school football at the 5A level. Even bad teams every once in a while can have a chance to, pull an upset, and you just can't let that happen.
Well, I mean, so that kind of sounds like some of the messaging that you've been talking about around the practice facility this week. Kind of what else has been going on to kind of get our offense back on track to where it's normally been?
Yeah, just focusing on mental errors have been the big thing. We had one against Walnut Grove on 4th and 1, and then there was another mental error we had. Really, we ran the 2 plays on the 2-yard line, get a yard or 2 on the first one, then don't get the touchdown on the second one, and both times it was just a mental error. It wasn't even a physical bust. Someone couldn't do something. It was just we went the wrong direction. We thought too much and didn't just do exactly what we were told to do. And that's part of the maturity Coach Parr's been talking about. I mean, when things are tough, when things are, it's, tough times, and we're in a really, do or die situation, you gotta just stick to what we've taught you, what you already know to do, and don't try to do too much. Just do what we've taught you to do what we've told you to do, and if that's wrong, if it doesn't work, then we're, it's on us.
Right.
Well, in the last few weeks, we've been talking about injuries, right? We've talked about Ashton. We've talked about some of the line injuries, and especially like wide receiver, right? Thank God we have that deep of a room. But that means as they're getting healthy, they get to come back. And one of those guys we talked about last week, maybe making an appearance this week, is Ronald Bell. So does it look like everything's kind of looking good? He's on track, and what does that mean for our offense?
He's been, spending a lot of time with the trainers. He's looking better. He's, getting some running in. It just kind of depends on probably the next few days how that's as you sort of, because sometimes when you injure something, you can still run on it, jog on it, but once you really get going to that game speed rep, you hope it all, revs right back up like it should. But, sometimes when you haven't started a car for a while, it just doesn't quite get back up, and it needs a little more tuning to get there. So we'll see. See over the next couple days. Don't want to put any expectations on it, but, he is doing better, looks a lot better, I think he's getting pretty close.
Well, so let's ask the question this way then. Whether it's this Friday, next Friday, in 2 weeks, right? What does it mean to eventually get a piece like RBJ back for the offense? Kind of what does it do for the rest of that unit as a whole?
Yeah, the big thing is, and we've had Eric and Gentry have done a really good job coming over, but anytime you're doing two things, you're playing DB and playing wide receiver, it's tough to, it's jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. If you're trying to do a couple different things, you're never going to be quite as good at one as you could be if you just focused on it. And so having Ronald come back, Ronald's a great player, that goes without saying, but having him come back, be able to focus on being a receiver and not have to worry about, playing DB, doing any of that stuff, just being able to be focused on being the best receiver he can be, is going to be great. And then on top of it, he's just, uber talented, great player, and he just brings a sense of toughness and grit to us that, is something that when a kid like that's out, you're going to miss.
For sure. Well, hey, before we get out of here, I got one fan question. It's not James Chumley.
All right.
Okay. He did send me a question for you. He did send me a question, but I'm not asking that one.
We all took a deep breath right there.
I got the question. It's being that we're an air raid team, right? How come we get low on the play clock and it seems like we're snapping the ball later in the play clock so often?
Yeah, so kind of depending on where we're at in the game, if we're playing with a lead, a lot of times we'll kind of milk a clock, and we're air raid, but not necessarily just go, breakneck tempo. A little bit different. We kind of play with tempo when we need to play with tempo. If we need to go fast, we go fast. If we're with a league, Walnut Grove, we go up by 3 touchdowns. Well, we don't want them to get on. They play really fast, move really fast. We don't want something bad to happen, and they have more opportunities than they need to. So we'll drag that down and slow it down. Fortunately, the last couple weeks, we've been able to play with leads, and then once we get there, we're taking that thing down to 3-4 seconds and doing that. And then other times it's just they come out with something, we're talking, deciding what we want to do, and then we get the play in. So sometimes it's a little extra deliberation that may happen that a lot of people don't hear because it's, on the headsets unless we're screaming at, each other. Other than that, it's pretty under goes without seeing.
No, you guys never have any disagreements in the headset ever.
Never.
Well, hey, Coach Rigg, any final thoughts before we let you get out of here?
No, just, ready to get to Memorial, like we said, 24 hours. And
I'm a little disappointed that he didn't ask the question. We asked Rod and Guerrero who's the best athlete among them, but now we've got Coach Rigg right here.
Who's the best football player among the three of y'all?
There's questions that don't have to be answered, guys.
You're saying one of you. Never mind. We'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right, hey, Coach Rigg. Any final thoughts before we let you go?
Nope. All good. I think everyone knows. I think we'll be
all right. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, guys, we are back here at Nandas, and we are joined by Coach Severe. Welcome, Coach Severe.
Thank you.
All right, so look, we've kind of been treading down this thing. Talk to us about this phrase that we tend to hear a lot when it comes to defense. Bend, don't break.
Real quick, I think your face as he was asking that question kind of told me how you feel about that phrase.
Yeah, come on now.
I don't love it. I don't love the phrase. I mean, I don't want to bend or break.
Okay.
The goal is to get stops, and so if you get a stop and don't give up a score, that's the most important thing, right? So it's a good thing, but you also on defense, I think, I don't know, my first year coordinating defense, I thought I'm like, man, I don't know if I really like this. I like offense more where I can go attack. And then I figured out on defense you can actually, there's ways to attack as well. So I'm not a big bend but don't break guy, but as long as you don't break, that is the most important thing.
Okay, fair enough. Well, look, I had somebody text in this question. He says, "Look, I'm a youth coach, so we're in our youth program. One of these coaches, he said, with the changes in upper level football, specifically in what is allowed and not allowed with tackling these days, is it difficult to teach kids to run through somebody? Like, seems like it would be hard to do, especially with little current examples that they can watch."
They've made football harder and harder to play on defense, right? They're changing the targets. You can't hit a guy high. You can't hit a guy low in certain situations. So it is more difficult, but ultimately there's a lot of, part of the reason I'm here is a guy named Bill Williams, and he was one of his son was my coach in high school, and he can teach you to tackle, and that was part of how, what made me successful is you can learn to tackle from shorts and shirts in the off season all the way through the season. So there's a lot of drills, skills. If whoever the coach is wants to come up, talk to us, we can sit down and talk and watch film and go through different drills you can do. But there's ways to do it, but ultimately it comes down to sometimes people wanting to do it or not.
Hey, listen, I'm going to go on the record with this. A lot of high school coaches don't make that offer. In a lot of programs, especially 5A and up, you don't get that offer. And I think that goes a lot to the leadership level of not only just the head coach, but all you guys who know what that asset is for youth football and what it can be. And to equip those coaches and to help them actually helps our team in the future, right? And that's huge, Coach.
I think, like, anyone who feels like they invented football is lying, right? So everything you've learned in football, everything I've learned, everything, probably every coach has learned is you've either borrowed, stole, or was taught. So there's no reason to not share that information.
Well, there you go. I love it. Hey, so my fan question from me, Blake Grundy, is this. So Coach Barr talked a couple of weeks ago about that 4th and 10 decision and how he got everybody involved, right? We had a 4th and goal from, the 6-7 yard line this week, and we're going to kick the field goal. We end up having to call a timeout because play clock's getting low. And they're over there huddled, and I saw you from the sideline. You come running down to Coach Parr, and you guys have a conversation. And presumably, it looked like from where I was standing, you were telling him, go for it. Kind of talk to me about that conversation and what gave you the confidence to go to him and say, hey, no, go for it on 4th and goal from our own 7. That eventually led to kind of the touchdown that I think fully put the game out of reach.
So it's kind of I'm probably be a little long-winded on this, but
I'm good with that.
My grandfather coached in the NFL, and he coached for a guy named Joe Gibbs, and he was Joe Gibbs's clock and game management guy. So in our household, we were always talking about, in this situation, you do this, and this. When there's this much time, you have this many plays. I was taught that from a young age. It was just conversations we had. So it was one of those things where I was always taught, like, scores are more important than points. So 15 points and 12 points is still 2-score game. So you got to get a 2-point conversion, but it's still only 2 possessions, right? So if you can create a 3-possession game there, now that really puts a lot of stress on them in offense. With David trying to play slow, and now they got to get the ball back 2 more times, score and get the ball back 2 more times, which is you're just running out of time. So I walked over to Coach Parr and said, hey, I think, number one, 15 and 12, it's a big difference, but not a huge difference. It's not a change in a possession game. And then I said, on top of that, I think you guys can get it. I don't think they can stop you guys again. So, and if they don't, if they want to walk the ball down the field and go 93 yards, I think we'll stop them. But even if we don't, it's going to take them probably the whole clock. So I just thought at that point, going for it was probably the more prudent decision, and I just gave he doesn't need much encouragement to go for it on fourth down. So as soon as I said it, he's like, "All right, you ready? We're ready. We're like, all right, let's go." And so I guess Coach Rigg was pretty fired up too. So.
Well, and it worked out. Zai kind of is able to walk backwards into the end zone on that play.
I know from having to defend them every day, like having to stop our offense 4 plays in a row is hard. You can get 3 in a row, and then they'll break loose on a fourth down, or Zai will make a play, or Chummy will break a tackle, or there's just so many good players that it's hard to stop them 4 times in a row. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, giving them that extra down is pretty safe, to be honest.
So looking at our defense a little bit, who's making some of the most progress right now? Who are you seeing like is making the strides and is kind of starting to set a tone and an example?
I don't know if there's like one guy. I feel like there's been some growth in a handful of guys.
I knew you'd say that.
But I feel like I want to see more.
Yeah.
And so I think I want to see some more guys step up. So I can give you some guys that I'm hopeful to look out for to make a big impact, and that's, I'm really hopeful in a guy named Brendan Williams because he's got a lot of talent, but he's been hurt for like 7 weeks, and so he's just getting back into it. And we hope that he can make a big impact because he could be an impact player down the road. And
I think we officially got him back like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, he's been back for 2 games. And so, if we can get his feet under him and get confident and get comfortable, and he can be a really big asset going into the playoffs. I think Eric Bowen, I feel like, is getting more and more confident on defense.
Okay.
I mean, there's still some instances where he's still learning the position. Coach G brought it up. I mean, Eric was a receiver last year. George was a receiver last year.
JoJo was a receiver.
Kind of a utility guy last year, back and forth. We really have a lot of guys that are learning to play defense. And even though we're like 7-8 weeks into it, there's a lot of instincts that don't come overnight. So those guys are getting better and better. And the more and more they see the same stuff, the more confident they get. And you start to see it where there's less mistakes in a practice. And now it's more about like not making mistakes, but going out there and being confident to make a play. And I think that's our next step as a defense is to find some guys that are willing to go make a play and not just be in position to make a play.
Okay. Well, Phil left this question for me in kind of in my breadbasket, I guess. We did some math this week, right? Memorial has 1,423 total yards on the season, according to Dallas Morning News. That represents 178 yards per game. Do you have what are your expectations for our defense against them on Friday night? I'm just going to leave it at that because I got in trouble with one of the coaches from another team last week.
Well, I've seen you guys talk about your favorite college teams, and we got a Missouri fan. We got I believe an Oklahoma fan.
He's no you guy.
Tough year.
And I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. So my favorite team growing up was Notre Dame, and they were really good in the 90s, and Lou Holtz was their coach. Mm-hmm. And Lou Holtz could make Memorial sound like a Super Bowl contender. So I'm not going to do that, but at the same time, I don't ever want to be disrespectful to another team. Those guys put in a lot of time, players and coaches, and so they're going to show up, and they're going to have 11 players on the field, and our job is going to be to stop them, and hopefully we do it every single time. And so that's our goal. I don't really it's about us. It's about us getting better. It's not about who we play. You love playing great teams, but at the same time, it's about us getting better and preparing for a long playoff stretch. So it doesn't matter who's on the other side. We got to get better. And so when you look at it like, hey, this team's not good or this team is good, and you kind of can play up and down, and you don't want the standard to change week to week. So we got to get better at just being good all the time and worrying about us and not worrying about other team or their stats.
There you go.
Man,
well, and I mean, that's been a consistent message from you, I think, throughout the season, right? Is ultimately your goal is, I don't want anybody to score on us.
Yeah. And
I think if you ask any defensive coach, that's not like a groundbreaking or that's not going to cause shockwaves and make people upset. You don't want people to score on you, and Coach Rigg wants to score the ball every time. right? I think that's totally fair. So, hey, Coach Severe, any last thoughts you want to give us before we let you go?
No, I just want to. My daughter came with me today, Avery.
Hey,
Avery.
there we are.
And I think I brought it up. This is giving me some street cred in my house, right?
Nice.
There you go.
Being on a YouTube channel, so
Yes,
she wanted to come see how famous I am in person.
Hey,
So-
Avery, he's famous to be on a YouTube channel that has 1,000 hours of watch time so far this season. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And part of that's because you're dad. Hey, Avery, give me a 1 through 10 rating. How'd your dad do tonight? 100.
Yes,
there
sir.
you go.
There we
Daddy's
go.
girl right there.
Well, hey,
Daddy's girl.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap it up.
She did ask me for ice cream earlier. I think she might have earned it right
There you go. There you go, girl. You got it. Well, that's going to bring us to a close, guys. Thanks so much for joining us here live. Thanks for joining us online. To all the Coyote fans that have tuned in tonight, we are super thankful. We're thankful for Nanda's for their great hosting and all the service and the hard work that they do while we're here. We'll give it up for Nanda's real quick.
Yeah.
Guys, this Friday, kickoff is at 7:30. We got our Coyote Walk at 6:30. The senior stuff starts at 6:50. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and you're going to need to be there, and you're going to need to be loud. It's the last district home game. So let's make Coach and this staff proud. Coach is Veterans Night
Yes,
as well.
Veterans
Yes,
Night
sir.
as well.
Yes, sir. Yep. So 7:15 for that. So lots of activity this coming game. Lots of things to try to remember to throw in there tonight. But that's what's going to be right here at the Coyote Den. So we're going to sign off with that. Join us next week here live on YouTube.
See ya.